So here we are. We're live again. Here we are. So Chargeheads live. It's Thursday. It's 8 o'clock. My name's Tim Aylan. I started Chargeheads 3 years ago, and I'm really excited to have Dala from Dala EV Repair. This is massive for me because I've been watching Dala's channel for a number of years. I've even did a video on my channel about the excitement of EV tuning. You like I said in the video, you're leading the way from an EV revolution point of view, but there's so much more that you do, Dala. So do you want to give us a quick intro in terms of where you've come from? Hi, John, and just a brief summary intro for yourself. That'd be great.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, so my name is Daniel, also known as Dala, and I started back in 2018. I bought my first EV, and I, of course, was a bit cheap, so I went for the cheapest one that I could find. And this turned out to be a kind of a bad and a good idea at the same time, because it had a defective battery. And so a Leaf that you barely could go like 20 kilometers with, that's I was a bit down there. And of course it was an import from the States, so there was no battery warranty or anything. So I had to get creative. And basically that's how I started Dala EV Repair. I thought, how hard could it be to repair a battery? And I got it working. And then I thought, maybe I can help others also, because in Finland, at least, people were very skeptical about batteries, and they were saying like, oh, they're going to end up in landfills and you won't be able to repair them. And actually that's not true. It's actually much simpler compared to combustion engines. And I think you also know that combustion engines have quite the complexity when it comes to like moving parts. So
no, absolutely. And it was great. I was getting a bit more up to speed with your EV conversion project, and that's where I saw the kind of passion for cars. And like me, into my Japanese, JDM cars, Japanese domestic market cars, that you had the 100NX Nissan, and you turboed it very much like I did to my Integra, and then you kind of moved over to the electric side, but you brought it back for the EV conversion. So I think it would be a really good point to start with your EV converted 100NX, because it's kind of, I suppose, shows you a little bit of a transition from ICE to EV. So yeah, why did you decide that was the thing to do on the 100NX?
Yeah, so I was kind of lucky to be able to keep one of the cars that I've had all the way since when I turned 18 and got my license. So yeah, that car has been through a lot. Like you mentioned, I've turboed it. I've put like water injection on it, methanol injection, all kinds of engine managements and etc. But then of course I saw that electric was coming. I saw Teslas, and I was like, that's like the next level of performance. And I was like, I want to try that. So it's quite natural to kind of take it to the next level and do an EV conversion on it. And I, of course, went with the trusty Leaf parts, because Leaf parts are cheap and surprisingly quick also, because you can put the largest inverter on it and you can get like 240 brake horsepower out of it. So, and for just a couple of hundred quids. So yeah, it's a very cheap power plant compared to combustion engines. You have to pay quite a lot to get that kind of power or tune vehicles. So
yeah, no, absolutely. And funnily enough, I was for a long time thinking about a Leaf motor in the TVR and doing like you said, improving the performance with the inverter, but using slightly different batteries. But like you said, doing an EV conversion with Leaf parts is a lot. The parts are quite plentiful, aren't they? And how did you connect? How did you control it? Was it the Resolve EV? Was it the Resolve connection?
Yes. So this was a few years ago when I was doing research into how to do it the quickest way. And then I found a Resolve EV controller, which is made in Sweden. And it's still a very good controller. It's it doesn't cost a lot of money, and it enables a really quick conversion. You just use off-the-shelf parts and connect it all together, and bang, you have a you have a running vehicle.
In fact, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show it on the screen. Here she is. In fact, can everyone see that? Can you see that, Dala?
Yes.
Yes, there she is. And yeah, I love the wheels that you put on it afterwards as well. So anyone who hasn't seen Dala's channel and you're into EV conversions, this is definitely one to look at. And there's some great advice in here in terms of adverts. One day I'll get the proper the official YouTube. But yeah, no, in terms of the conversion, I thought it was really, really good. One thing that I was quite impressed with was your focus on safety, and that's something that's really important to me, to make sure we don't spoil it for the rest, and from making sure no one gets harmed, of course. Since that video, it's been obviously a couple of years since you finished the EV conversion. Just before we move on to all your other exciting things, what have you done anything to it since that YouTube episodes that you've been putting out?
Actually not. I plan to return to it at some point, but it feels like it's kind of more of a project that's only like beneficial to me. It's like sort of a hobby passion thing. But at the moment, there are so much more projects that actually can help people. So it feels like I need to focus on this at the moment and get back to that later. Also, yeah. And on the conversion, as a whole, conversions stuff is happening very fast. I think you've probably seen like Damien Maguire's work on open sourcing like various bits of used EVs in order to use them for conversions. So a lot of stuff is happening there, and I think once I revisit this project, I'm probably gonna rebuild it quite a lot. But yeah.
No, it's good. And, I love the fact, being selfless, working on the projects that people want the most. And I think, going probably back from the EV conversion on the 100 NX you did, going back to your, you purchased the cheapest Nissan Leaf you could find, much like I purchased the cheapest Tesla long range I could at the time. And you realized that the battery just wasn't cutting it in terms of range. And you decided to do a battery swap on it. Can you take me through and take the viewers through what's involved with the battery conversion? Bearing in mind, anyone wants the full detail, you've got to go onto Dala's EV Repair channel. There's so much information on there. It's great. But just give us a bit of a summary in terms of what it all involves and what's the best thing to do, really.
Yeah. So the Leaf is quite good that they kept through all these years of production, all the way from 2010 all the way up now to 2024. They kept the format the same, so you can use newer batteries from the newer vehicles in the older cars. So a very cheap way to get more range in your Leaf is to take the battery, often from a salvage vehicle, crashed vehicle. Norway has plenty of those. And then you can take the battery and just fit it in your older Leaf. And I think the hardest bit is probably like the heavy lifting, because these packs weigh like between 300 to 400 kilograms. So I think that's maybe the most like off-putting factor that maybe someone wants to leave it to the pros or have a garage do it for them. But if you can handle the heavy lifting, then I would say you can handle the actual upgrade itself.
Yeah.
Then, of course, Nissan didn't want you to do this. So they have differences in the CAN communication between all these like different generations of batteries. But this has been fully reverse engineered, and it's actually open source, which I have available on my GitHub page. So like links to where you can get the hardware for around 10 euros. So it's very cheap. And source code, everything is open source, so anyone can improve on it or tweak on it and inspect it if they want to. But it enables all the battery pack generations to be swapped freely between each other. So it's a very, very nice accomplishment.
And there's obviously pros and cons between the different batteries in terms of the technology and obviously the weight and other things to take into consideration. And anyone that's interested in that, again, go on to Dala's EV Repair YouTube channel. I'm sure I'm going to say that a lot tonight. And I love the way that you said about that, Norway's got plenty. Is Norway kind of the EV parts bin for you in Finland? Like, just going to go over there.
Absolutely. And it's so easy to order stuff from there. I mean, there are places, they call them these bildemontering, which basically translates into car picking apart cars. And you can just go online and you can select what parts you want, and you can have batteries like shipped to your door. I mean, maybe for the UK, it's a bit more expensive since it's the sea route, but like for whole of like Sweden, Denmark, and Finland, it's a very cheap way to source batteries and EV parts.
Absolutely, and you know, Scandinavia is certainly leading the way in the EV transition, and I'm always using that as an example in my work. I think that leads quite nicely in terms of leads nicely onto, I believe, the charging. So something that's always put me off a leaf, dare I say it, sorry, Dala, is the Chademo connection. Now, recently, I've been very excited by recent videos on your YouTube about the Chademo adapter. Now, I know you've been doing some real testing with the Chademo adapter that you've had recently, but just give us a summary of what's been happening in the world of Chademo charging recently and what you've been doing.
Yeah. So if we turn back the clock like 1 year, the only way to get CCS charging on Chademo vehicles or on your own conversions, it was to utilize BMW i3 charging modules and to try to retrofit them onto your car or onto your Leaf or whatever. And I was actually on my way of building like a suitcase that was like filled with like all the BMW parts and contactors and everything. And it was huge. I mean, it was like, I mean, it was something like this big and this tall. It was very, very, very cumbersome. But before I was able to finish that, then the Chinese managed to get a CCS adapter to market. And this one is small. I mean, this one is something that you can easily like fit into the car, and it's not like a briefcase that weighs like 20 kilograms. This one weighs below 2 kilograms, so it's like very handy. And this adapter, it defies everything. Like a lot of people said that this couldn't be done. But adapters in general is quite common in China. They have this charging standard, this GBT standard. And they like to import and export vehicles and convert them usually between GBT and different formats. So they're kind of used to developing adapters. So, but this CCS and Chademo, it's like a bit next level. But they managed it. Surprised a lot of people. When I first saw this, I was like, no way, this can't be true. Like, there's so many parts that need to fit inside this. And I was looking at my briefcase and I was going like, how did they fit all those contactors and voltage measurement points and everything? And yeah, I just couldn't believe it. But
sorry, go on, carry on. Sorry.
Yeah, but they managed to do it, and I was so skeptical. So I of course keyboard warrior and was like, no way, that's not gonna work. No. but then how was it? Then they actually contacted me because it's Chinese companies and they need to sort of break into the European market, and it's not that credible for a Chinese company to just come in on discussion forums or Facebook groups or something and just post a link and everyone's like gonna be like, fake. So they did the smart thing and they started sending out review examples to various persons. And like you saw here, I also have this explained in my video. This one is like an engineering example, so development version. So it has a USB cable permanently attached to it in order to like get diagnostics logs out of it. So I've been driving around testing chargers and actually tested a few software versions with them, and we've gotten it quite stable. And of course, there's still a lot more work to do because fast charging standards, they can be a bit loosely interpreted by some like charging manufacturers. So some chargers work better than others, but as with each software updates, it just keeps on getting better. So yeah, of course, there's going to be concerns about like Nissan has said that if you use this adapter, the warranty is voided on your vehicle, like directly. Like we can't be like liable for anything if you use the adapter. But Leafs are getting so old that not a lot of Leafs have like warranty left. I mean, like I mentioned, they started back in 2010. So if you're gonna try to scare people away with saying that they don't have a warranty, well, they didn't already from the start. But of course, things like overheating, things like this, they can be concerns. But the actual CCS charging standard itself, it has things like temperature measurement or monitoring on the plus and minus DC pins, etc. So in case it's too hot, it stops the charge. 90 degrees Celsius is the cutoff limit. And I think we're going to see a lot still of the discussion here, like, is it safe? A lot of people are still going to be very skeptical of these adapters. And of course, CE listings, UL listings, all the certificates, etc. I don't know, are we ever going to see all of them? But also the time it takes to get all this, if we're going to wait years and years for this to become like a mature product, then the Leafs will get even older. And so it's a product kind of born out of necessity. And in my opinion, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to get us by now. What's the alternative then, that we start to scrap all these cars like prematurely just because they have the wrong type of charging plug? It's silly.
And I think it certainly opened up avenues, I'm sure, for other people thinking, oh, do you know what, it's got Chademo, it's probably not for me. But knowing actually there's a bit of a light at the end of the tunnel where there is an adapter for DC faster charging, is certainly that kind of made me think, oh, actually, thinking about changing my other half's car from ICE to EV, because I nicked a Tesla, to maybe look at a Kia Soul or Nissan Leaf or all the other Chademo options. But so I could go two ways from this conversation, Dala, because it all marries up so nicely, all the topics you cover. Now I could go down the charging route, but I think I'm going to go down the rapid gate route. So you mentioned about overheating. So as some Nissan Leaf owners may be able to tell the tale, rapid gate has been, and if you don't know about rapid gate, look it up. It's basically and please correct me if I'm wrong, Dala, it's often the case, which is the slightly later Leaf batteries, 40 kilowatt hour and 62 kilowatt hour. They suffered from overheating when rapid charging multiple times. And you not necessarily came up with a fix, but you came up with something to reduce that. Is that right?
Yeah, it's kind of a band-aid solution. But yeah, it's true that the Leaf batteries don't have any type of cooling. They rely on like passive cooling, just bleeds the heat off. And this is not really a good solution, not when you're trying to do a long trip of like between maybe 500 to 1,000 kilometers. You're going to start to notice the effects of this. So after like the second or third charge, you're going to see very, very low speeds. And my solution to the problem was that instead of like trying to go with 50 kilowatts directly from the start, if you start out a little bit slower, so you cap it out to like 35 kilowatts, then you can sort of average it out and you don't get the heat creeping up so fast. And it's not a solution to rapid gate. It's just a way to be a bit nicer to your battery. And you trade some minutes of extra charging time at the start in order for a much cooler battery at the end. And it also actually related to this charging speeds. So if we go back a bit to the adapter, it was recently been like a discussion here, like that Chademo is like 50 kilowatts, but actually the E Plus Leaf that has the 62 kilowatt hour battery, it can actually go up to 100 kilowatt peak in some circumstances, but most often around 75. But actually when you use the CCS adapter, like you don't see any Chademo charging stations in Europe, or maybe a few, but they are so rare, that go over 50 kilowatt. But CCS is plentiful, and they often go hundreds of kilowatt. So now also the E Plus owners are going to see like a lot faster charging rates. But faster charging rates means hotter battery. So use with caution.
And did you have something to do with the cam bridge on the Nissan Leaf, or was that something else? Because I know I've seen your videos where you talk about the cam bridge, where you can see more information on the Nissan Leaf, and it helps with to affect the charging speed.
Yeah, so the CAN bridge is actually what makes the battery upgrades work, and it is what makes the inverter upgrades work. And
right.
Basically, the CAN bridge is placed between some components that you want to manipulate the data flowing between them. So you can trick the vehicle into thinking that, yeah, I'm still running the original battery, even though you have fitted a battery that is 3 times as big. And also it enables things like the inverter upgrades, like when you put in the larger inverter and you want to push more power out of it, you kind of trick it into sending up, please give it a bit more oomph, like modify it, add 30% on top of it.
Like a bleed valve on a turbo,
Yeah, but very digital.
Yeah,
Written with software. So yeah, but the CAN bridge, it has, I don't know if the word CAN bridge is what you would call it, but it has kind of stuck, and now I can't stop calling these things CAN bridges. But yeah, CAN bridge,
no,
very useful.
Great. And talking about charging now, you I don't know when you started, but you now work for Kempower. So you're very much in the charging market, like myself, who supplies Kempower and offers it. And I was amazed to see that you've not only got a movable Kempower charger, which can charge up to 40 kilowatts, but you made a bit of I loved your thumbnail on the video, which was a financial mistake, which was, for a big 400 kilowatt capable charger. Unbelievable. Take me through why you decided to buy something that even some businesses struggle to not only power, but also decide to go with.
Yeah, I thought, why not? In this area where I live, people are still a bit skeptical about EVs in some places. So some places think that hydrogen is going to be the next big thing, or like natural, or not natural gas, but this biogas, like, yeah. So I kind of want to show that no, it's actually chargers and EVs. So I just wanted to actually, for the lulz, only because it's like it's a technical challenge to get a 400 kilowatt charger going, and it's going to be a neat project. I'm going to learn a lot along the road how it is to be a CPO and try to set up a charger. And I think I accidentally I spoke too soon about this project, because I ordered the grid connection, like a really small grid connection, but it has now taken, what is it, like over 5 months, and nothing has happened yet. So I think this is something that a lot of places struggle with that want to put up chargers, that it's a very long wait time in order to get a grid connection.
Yeah.
But like I mentioned, I ordered the smallest grid connection, and I ordered a very big charger. So we're going to have to get creative with getting, I think, the 350 kilowatt that is missing from the grid connection elsewhere. But my plan is to do this with batteries. And I will be posting lots and lots of technical videos on this when I actually have something in the ground and the charger is mounted in place and the satellites is mounted and everything. But it's going to be one of those longer projects. But yeah.
And this
I
is
like
going to
to keep many projects going at the same time also.
many plates spinning. No, absolutely. And when it comes to the when you're talking about grid connection and battery power, we suffer massively from that in the UK. From my charger experience, is the fact that people want fast chargers, but the grid connection is either really expensive to connect, and it takes years sometimes to actually, get it in place with the DNOs, the power companies. So I think seeing that project and being able to boost it with batteries is going to be, I don't think it's just going to be useful for, that's going to be useful for everybody. I think that's going to be massive. It is huge. I know people are doing it already with, Second Life bigger batteries, but I'm guessing, are you going to be using Leaf batteries, or how are you thinking about doing it?
Yeah, maybe not Leaf batteries, because Leaf batteries are kind of pricey compared to other batteries.
Okay. Yeah.
Because the Leaf batteries, they have so many applications because they have recently, or they have for a long time, they have been used by different conversions and people have reverse engineered them for a long time. But what's most important, like interesting, is to look at EV packs from a bit more recent and rare vehicles that haven't really been used a lot, because the demand for these packs is low, so the price is also lower. So maybe some new vehicle, I don't know the brand, but probably some around maybe 80, 90 kilowatt hours, some pack out of some random car, and then maybe multiple packs, because you're going to overload that one single EV battery in case you're going to put 350 kilowatts from it. So maybe 2 or 3 batteries at least.
Yeah. Would I mean, this is just a thought that's just pinged into my head. Is what about hybrid packs? I mean, they tend to be higher voltage. Would they be no good? I mean, you'd have to have multiple ones, but is higher voltage battery packs better for that use?
Nope, because they're so small. I mean, a hybrid battery, it could be anywhere between 5 or 20 kilowatt hours, or of course,
So the voltage
ones,
doesn't help. The high voltage doesn't really help. No,
because
okay.
you will have depleted it in just a few minutes.
Yeah, yeah, you certainly need multiple of them. That's for sure. Yeah. Okay, interesting. And that brings nicely on to battery storage. Now, I know this is something that I don't know much about this, and I've only recently seen a couple of your episodes on it. So I need to jump back on your channel and clue myself back up on it. But you've got this battery emulator for battery storage, and is it for homes? Is it or?
Yes, it can be for homes, or it can be for like if you have a big workshop, or it's not restricted to home. If you have a business and you want to save on electricity bill, like it's also for you. It's basically for anyone that want to cut their electricity bill and be more self-reliant. And it's actually it's actually become my biggest project so far in terms of like reach. Like people are calling me almost every day. Like I think a record was like 5 calls in one day, just people that I don't know how they got my number, but they wanted to inquire about how do I get batteries for my home.
Someone asked me to get your details before we went on today through my channel, so they're trying to get hold of you, mate. I mean, obviously I'm not going to divulge. They can get you through the normal channels if that person's watching. So.
Yeah, but anyways, so I started this I started thinking about it back in 2021, I think. It was the year when I first got solar panels mounted to my workshop. And then the inverter that I picked was one that was a hybrid inverter. So that means it has like a battery input. So you can use batteries. So you can store solar energy in it and you can use from it when the sun doesn't shine. And I thought that, that sounds great. And then I looked at the prices of batteries. And that was not so great.
No.
They were offering small batteries, 10 kilowatt hour packs, for, I think it was 13,000 euros. And that's very expensive. I mean, if you do cost calculations and think about return of investment, it was like, no, there is no return of investment. If you get these brand batteries, it's just for that you want to be a good person and don't load the grid too much, or if you have some ideals that you want to do, but it's not economically viable. So then I looked in my workshop and I was like, but I have Leaf batteries. why do I have to buy batteries when I have batteries?
Yeah.
And then again, the proprietary protocols, they don't want you to use anything else than the brand batteries. So I contacted my solar installer and I was like, hey, if you have any batteries that I can loan just for like a few weeks, that would be great. I want to investigate them. And as luck had it, actually they contacted me and they said, hey, we have a broken brand battery. Can you look at it and maybe repair it at the same time? And I was like, yes, I will look at it. So it was a very meh battery, but it had over discharged. So it was. I'm glad
that meh is a universal term.
But yeah, so it had lost all its state of charge. So I just boosted it up and I was able to start using it again. But then I took the opportunity and I stored all the communication, all the information that it was sending between the inverter and the battery. And then we started to look at these logs. I have a Patreon server where I do all this research and development and eventually publish everything open source. But yeah, we started looking at it and we decoded all the important bits. And I think it took it maybe 4 months of hard like reverse engineering before we had the first working prototype. And yeah, I made videos on that. I think it's a bit over a year ago now that the first one was actually completed. And like we had a thing that was actually usable, like for anyone to use. And it has just snowballed ever after that. I mean, first we got Leaf batteries working, then we got Tesla batteries working, then we got Kia, Hyundai, the Mitsubishi iMiev triplets. We got,
Wow.
I mean, I have a list of all the batteries that are currently now supported. So like the amount of batteries you can use, there's like a really long list. And then also on the inverter side, because we figured out that this was only for this one brand of inverters. It was Fronius inverters. And then we were like, can we do the same with other inverters? And then everyone started to chip in because it's open source. And I love open source. And this is like, it's perfect for a thing like this. So people started sending in their own like codes and logs and everything. And we have just been chugging and just keep adding like things to the supported list. And we have now even gone as far as we have added emergency generator charging support. So you can use like a Leaf powertrain and you can feed a generator into it and like reverse charge a battery in case like your grid goes down for like a week or something and you need to start charging your batteries. Like we have even have that going. So it's such a cool project. And again, it fits on this very inexpensive hardware board. This thing costs, I think, 13 euros on the web. So, I mean, we are starting to compete with like all the brand batteries. I think they are very worried about this development because nobody is going to buy the brand batteries anymore, not after seeing this. And as a quick like cost like comparison, like I mentioned, you can get the brand battery for, I think they went down in prices now. It's only 10 grand now for that tiny battery, which is 10 kilowatt hours. But you can get, for instance, a Hyundai 64 kilowatt hour battery for like 3,500. So it's like you get 6 times the battery size at 1/3 of the cost.
Yeah, that's bonkers. And that's going to last, on my house, days,
Yes.
Oh yeah, that sounds amazing. It's great, that sort of work that you're doing. And I need to be more up to speed with that. I think, I suppose the only concern that I would have is, how safe is it to have and probably other people's concerns, how safe is it to have a car battery compared to a branded battery?
Yeah.
Can you take me through kind of the safety of it?
Yes, I have worked as an embedded software engineer for 7 years before I started at Kempower. So I have had experience with building these. We call them human safety critical systems, which is where you sort of have to rely on the hardware or on the software to make the correct decisions in case something goes wrong. So safety has been the largest like focus area in the entire project. And before we dive into the software, we can talk about the physical thing. Like we always recommend that you mount batteries outside, detached from any house that has like people living in it. So maybe in a garage or somewhere that's like a bit away from humans. Like that's the biggest safety thing you can do to move the battery away.
In the shed.
some people, but some people don't have sheds and still want to do it.
Yeah.
We kind of advise against this, but I know that some people simply don't have the space and they need it. So maybe they put it in a garage, maybe they add in like fire insulation, all the stuff like this to make it like at least last a bit longer in case it would go into a thermal runaway. But we want to avoid the thermal runaway. And
100%.
yes. So these batteries are automotive batteries. So that means that the battery is designed to take shocks, vibrations, like all these crazy things that you do when you have it inside a car. And if you put it into stationary use, like where it just sits quietly, still, just there, it's going to last a long time. I mean, all the BMS inside it, it's like often these epoxy boards that are like anti-vibration resistant, like really overkill boards. And
I didn't even think about that. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
So when you use them like just sitting still, they will last for a long time. And also in the software, like we have thought about all these scenarios. The BMS itself does most of the decisions. So in case it doesn't want to take a charge, it will just say, no, I'm full. I don't want any charge. Or in case it goes too empty, it's like, stop discharging. I don't have any energy left. And then we just follow that. But of course, we like to double check everything. So we take temperature measurements. We take cell values. We look at all the cells. It could be like 100 cells inside one battery. We look at the min-max. We look at everything. We look at deviations between highest and lowest. And we have coded also in additional safeties, because we don't trust all the BMSs to be able to make smart decisions in the long term. So we have our own sanity checks for temperatures, cell deviations, and like voltage sanity checks versus, or plausibility checks, we call them. Like now we are approaching the max voltage and the state of charge value is very low. Like something doesn't seem right. So then we raise a plausibility error and we say that, oh, let's stop using the battery. These values that the BMS is sending does not make sense anymore. So safety is a very large focus here. And on the GitHub, I've actually posted like a link to like a list of safety checks that is being evaluated by the system, because so many people think, what about safety? So I just look at safety there, and this is what the inverter does. Insulation checks all these things, and this is what the battery does, and this is what our emulator in between does. So you have like 3 different systems doing safety checks. So it is. I would argue that it's much better than many of those commercial offerings available.
You do hear a few horror stories out there, to be fair. Funny enough, we had rubbish with names, the guy from CellGuard on, which is good for highlighting any thermal runaway nice and early. But like you said, I mean, chances are it's very minimal, and having it in a different location of the house is just adding to that safety. Something that I've noticed recently, I've talking to a lot of businesses, the insurance companies are really hammering home in terms of safety, even like out of proportion. So you guys taking that into consideration? Because I know that will probably come up, because I don't think it's really come up yet. I don't know if it's something that comes up more in Finland or in Scandinavia, that actually insurance companies are saying, we'll insure your house, but a perfect example is you're not allowed to keep an electric scooter in the house, because they're worried about the potential faulty batteries because of the small handful of e-scooter fires that have been out there. So are you guys thinking about that, about how you can make sure that it passes those kind of insurance standards to make sure that you guys can make it viable commercially?
It has actually been on the kind of wish list, requested by a lot of people, like asking about legislation and like to have sort of a wiki where you could like check, like, I live in X country, what should I look for? But at the moment, everyone has to do their own research related to this. I have spoken with my insurance company But when you talk about these technicalities with someone that's not really familiar with what you're talking about, I think it's very hard to get the point across. I tried to explain it, and they were like, yeah, as long as the inverter is like certified, like to be grid connected and everything, like if because that's the thing that actually interfaces with the grid. It's not the battery that interfaces with the grid, it's the solar inverter. So as long as that one is a product that's allowed in Finland, like they would kind of honor the insurance claim. But would I put that to practice? I don't really want to test it. I don't want to be the first one to test that. So that's why we keep trying to strive for like absolute safety.
Absolutely,
just checking more things, just making sure that we never let the cells go into thermal runaway. We just stop in case we see any issues.
No, absolutely. I think, having it somewhere else obviously will help from an insurance point of view as well, of course. So no, it's great to hear, and I'm I'm going to go back and watch the start of those videos. So I think I watched your latest video on the battery emulator showing how many, like you mentioned before, how many batteries it does connect with, and the list was massive. So really impressive stuff from you and the rest of the people that are contributing to the open source, really. So that's great. Going back to cars for a second, and have you got anything more to talk about on the emulator at all?
No, I think we covered a lot.
Yeah. And I am conscious, by the way, everyone, Dala, I'm in the UK, Dala's in Finland, and there is a few hours, between us. And so it's getting, certainly it'll be my bedtime where Dala is. So I'm going to keep it fairly short and sweet today, just, because Dala's a busy man. He needs the sleep. Let's be honest. You've heard of what he's doing so far. It's amazing. So EV tuning, I just want to go back to that for a second, because, how, with your current Leaf, so I recently saw the strut. So we're talking about EV modifying now. So I saw that you recently did the strut brace on the Nissan Leaf, the undercover strut brace. Again, watch the video to understand why I'm giggling like a schoolgirl. But yeah, in terms of the tuning, what have you done so far to your Leaf? Because you've done so much to it now. Can you give us a brief summary of what you've done? What makes the ultimate Leaf old school?
Yeah, I've tested every single battery there is, like all the OEM batteries, the 24, the 30, the 40, the 62 pack, all those. I've tested all the inverter sizes, 80 kilowatt, 110 kilowatt, and now 160 kilowatt. And apart from that, also some suspension mods, like you mentioned, the strut brace and the anti-rail roll bar. And I also have Nissan 350Z wheels on it, forged. And also I've done a Ford Mustang like brake caliper upgrade. That's also quite silly to put the brakes from a 600 horsepower vehicle onto the Leaf. That's also just why not? It's fun. Yeah. So it is quite heavily modified. And actually, at the moment, I run the largest battery, the 62 kilowatt hour pack. But I kind of miss the smaller pack because they were so much lighter. So I now have the 160 kilowatt inverter, but it was much more fun with a smaller battery because you shaved off like over 100 kilograms of weight, and that's quite a lot when it comes to acceleration and how like nimble it feels. So if I were to do it again, I think I would stick with maybe a 40 kilowatt hour pack just to have it more performance oriented.
It's getting that balance between power and weight, isn't it? I'm hoping the TVR's got it just right. Fingers crossed. Have you got any other plans for the Leaf, or plans? Have you got another car that you want to attack after all this selfless, stuff that you're doing for everyone so far on the EV world?
Yes, I have actually. I think you're gonna get the big scoop here. I have placed an order on a car. I placed it after last summer, so I've been waiting a long time now here, and I think this is gonna be the next kind of platform that I'm gonna look into like properly. So I went with a purchase order on a Volvo EX30 the rear wheel drive version. It's kind of basic, but it still has like almost 300 horsepower, and it's rear wheel drive, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And by choice, I took the base spec, and that leaves a lot of tinkering. So I think it's gonna be fun. Like they come in like all-wheel drive variants and like big battery packs variants also. But I think it's sensible to kind of what I did with the Leaf. I started with the absolute base spec model, and then I just tested out all the hardware combinations and saw what was possible to do. So yeah. I think I'm gonna do it again with another platform.
There we are, a big scoop from Dala there. And I'll tell you what, from all the information that I've seen on the EX30, it does look like a cracking car. Dare I say it, being a bit of a Tesla fanboy. Foxhound Follies just asked the question. He said that the 40 kilowatt hour battery pack is similar to the 24 kilowatt hour battery pack. As I understand it, and Dala can hopefully help out here, I don't think there's a huge amount of difference between 24, 30 and 40. Because the battery pack's kind of similar. It's just the extra battery weight that comes in. And I remember seeing a video of yours recently that actually showed the weights. Do you remember what it is off the top of your head?
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Alan Sterling has jumped in out of nowhere and given us the exact kilowatt hour and kilograms. There we go. Alan, yes. There we go. You are definitely a charge head for helping out there. Send me your address. I'm sending you a Chargehead t-shirt. Hopefully you're in UK.
Like you can see there, the 62 kilowatt hour, it really goes away compared to the other pack. So
yeah, no, you're right. It's a big difference, isn't there? Wowzers. Yeah. Okay. And so yeah, you said about the new car. Any other plans for the 100NX and the Leaf, or you kind of got to the point where you've done so much now, or anything else that you kind of jumping on?
Yeah, I think we're gonna do a lot with the Leaf still, but like I mentioned in the start, the NX is still gonna be in kind of a sleepy state until I have time or want to be a bit more selfish and just work on something for myself. But I think the Leaf, there are still a lot of things to do with the Leaf, but yeah, no super concrete plans.
No, fair play. And if talking hypothetically now, because I'm a big fan of modified EV and EV conversions, if there was another car that you could convert to electric, which was ICE, obviously you've done the 100NX, what car would it be? Have you got a car where you think, oh, do you know what, I'd love to convert one of those? And tell us what would be your perfect spec, you know?
I think it would be an S13. I think the 200SX is gorgeous. It would definitely be one of those.
Well, I hope you do end up doing that, because I think I'm in the same vein, because I've had a few S14s, like I mentioned before we went live, and I absolutely love it. Again, getting that power to weight, and I'm sure with battery technology getting better and better, that will hopefully help things as well. But before I kind of sum everything up, has anyone got any questions for Dala? And please, right after this podcast live, whatever you want to call it, whack in the comments any questions you've got, and I'll try and answer them. And Dala, I'm sure, might have a little look and answer them as well. And most importantly, make sure you check out Dala EV Repairs, and I'll just show you the where are we? Let me get it up on the screen. So there we go. So this is Dala's YouTube channel, Dala's EV Repair, loads on there. As you can see, go and check it out. Go and like and subscribe. You won't be disappointed. So in summary, first of all, Dala, thank you so much for taking the time out, especially so late, to come and talk to us. I'm certainly going to keep glued to the screen on the battery emulator and everything else you're doing. So thank you very much for coming on today. Thanks everyone who's contributed. And next week we've got Jamie, who has done a EV conversion on a Beetle at a very, very low cost. And he's currently doing, I'm going to get this right this time, an E90 BMW diesel, which he's converting to electric using a Lexus gearbox drivetrain. Sorry, my cat's just coming. I know the dog's somewhere. It's just going to kick off in a minute. So that's happening next week, and we'll have another EV meet coming up next month. But again, thank you, Dala. Thank you, everyone, for contributing, and I'll see everyone next week. Thanks, Dala, and don't forget everyone to like, and subscribe, and all that funny stuff. Thanks again, Dala. Really appreciate it today.
See you.